Okay, so basically, this is the first. I guess you could say it's the first of many, sort of in the n8n series that I want to start, where we go through basically from start to finish, like what is n8n, how to actually use it, and like the foundational sort of concepts of like how to actually think about automation. This, along with everything else that has to do with n8n, like the nodes that you use, how to set up credentials, and so on and so forth. So this is effectively because like I've never seen like everyone just keeps giving people methods on like how to use n8n or like how to build things, but they never actually tell people like what n8n is or like how to even think about automation. That's why we have a bunch of like template pushers in the industry, and like ideally I don't want that to be the case with n8n. So yeah, so this is basically just me. I'm going to be talking to you about n8n, like what it is, and it's going to be just a simple little, just a slideshow that I put together in a few minutes. So let's go through it. So if you know me, I guess you might either know me as just Muzi, or you might know me as the Grand Alchemist of the Guild. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. There might be a link in the description. If you don't know what that is, if no, there might be a link in the description if you're seeing this from YouTube. But if you're seeing this on WAP, then that's a different case because you definitely know who I am. Yeah, basically, I'm all about sort of playing the game. So what the game is effectively maximizing the amount of reach and monetization you can get from the sort of scale that you have, basically. So yeah, I'm Muzi. I'm the Grand Alchemist of the Guild, and this is basically just me guiding you through the world of AI automation and data-driven content strategy. I specialized in content automation, and yeah, just data-driven marketing strategy, marketing campaigning, and this is basically just me teaching you all about n8n in this series. So if you're here, you're either someone who's like new and you just want to understand what it is, or you're just someone who's like tired of doing things manually, and like whether it's like posting or scheduling or copy pasting data across like apps or whatever. But n8n gives you a better way. So um, basically, what is n8n? Um, the thing is, if you're here, you've probably heard of n8n before because it's really famous, like especially right now, with the whole like agentic space kind of like blowing up on YouTube and on every like social platform. Like people are saying 2025 is the year of agents, and to an extent they're not wrong, but the agents that they're selling, I mean, you have people selling agents for like thousands. It might just be the year for agents, but the agents that exist right now are not very good. Um, of course, no one's going to tell you that. Like people are just going to keep selling agents, and businesses are going to keep buying agents because they want to be seen as these sort of these progressive businesses that they have the newest technologies. Um, but yeah, we're not really here for that right now. We're here to learn about n8n. So specifically, so what is n8n? n8n stands for Node Meets Node. It's effectively just a fair code open source workflow automation tool, right? We use n8n to like automate things. Like this is one of my automations that I use to create HeyGen AI avatar videos. We might go through this like in the future, how it works, what goes into it, and I think you might like it. So I just basically said it's a fair code open source workflow automation tool, but like that's a ton of jargon. Let me actually like break it down for you. It's effectively something that lets you connect different apps, right, services and systems, and it helps you out because you can connect them out without actually like needing a line of code sometimes. It's like having kind of like an employee in a way, because if you think about this, right, it's it's a workflow that takes sort of a script. No, it generates a script based on a sort of a campaign that I'm setting up. It generates a script using OpenAI, and then it goes ahead and then it creates videos from that script, and then it creates documents, and then it sends those documents to a shared folder that my partner and I are managing. So all of that could have taken an employee maybe a few hours, but I do this in seconds and minutes actually, because that's just how long it takes to generate videos with HeyGen. But yeah, you create workflows, and these workflows, they run automatically, and um, they basically give you time back into your pocket. Like, you can build workflows for anything, as long as like you can sort of simplify a system to like steps. You can build a workflow around that. And then this is why automation is so big nowadays, because everyone is trying to save as much time as they possibly can. And automation, like, it's always been a big thing, right? But recently it's becoming even bigger now with AI coming into the fold, because AI makes it that much more scalable. So think about like automating literally anything. Like, this automates creating videos for video campaigns, for like any kind of like marketing campaign. But you could automate sort of growing your brand by creating these social media posts and then just auto posting them at certain scheduled times that that you can reach your audience at. You can automate closing clients by creating some kind of like voice agent that calls people, and then sort of like you know talks to them in a way that they might understand better. You can automate literally anything effectively. Like, if it can be boiled down to like a few concrete steps, you can just automate it out. So yeah, how does it actually work? Yeah, you basically create workflows that run according to some conditions, right? They could run automatically. This is all just based on like how you set it up. So there are a bunch of triggers. So it could trigger based on something that happens outside. It could trigger based on something that happens inside, whether it's like the time, or it could trigger based on like a webhook, like someone clicks a button on a website, and then that activates, like, that sends a request to the webhook node in your workflow. Like, these workflows, like, once they start running, as long as they configure correctly, they will always do what they need to do. So yeah, it allows you to spend more time. It allows you to spend more time on things that actually like move the needle in your business. You spend less time on like repetitive tasks and more on growing your brand, which is like super important these days, especially since we're in a personal branding economy. So let's talk a little bit of history. Like, let's rewind a little bit. n8n was launched in 2019 by this guy. His name is Jan Oberhauser. He's a German guy. You can't really see him properly here, because the image is really tiny. But yeah, his name is Jan Oberhauser. Very smart German. So at the time, there were already like tools available, like Zapier and Integromat. By the way, if you don't know what Integromat is, it is make.com. So they rebranded, they changed the name. But yeah, it's make.com. And the problem with these is that they were like closed source. So you had to sort of like get access to them by paying, or by requesting access. So it was like you could only get limited access to their services, and it was expensive to run. Like, because like Integromat is really really famous for like charging people per node, which is like insane if you think about it. Because if you have a complex workflow with like over 20 nodes, every time you run it, there's like one sort of like chunk per node, and if you're running that consistently, that's insane. So n8n is different, right? Because like the way it is right now, you're only getting charged based on server costs, and active workflows that are running like constantly. So it's like much better, but as much as it's better, there are some things that you need to consider, which is something that we'll run through as well. So n8n is effectively just, it's different, right? So this guy Jan Oberhauser, he made it such that it was open source, flexible, and powerful. So open source meaning that you can host it yourself and you can build it. Like, there's literally a repository on GitHub that contains n8n code, and you can fork that repository and start developing it yourself. You can develop a version of n8n by yourself for your own use cases, which is incredible. It's flexible, meaning that you're not boxed in with like pricing bars. So one thing that you can do is you can host it on your by yourself in the cloud, like I'm doing. I'm hosting mine on Google Cloud, and it's like really sort of flexible and cheap and really like nice to use, and it allows me to do a lot. So yeah, and the nice thing about it is that it's powerful because it lets you create these like logic heavy flows that most no code tools can't touch. Like one thing that's really famous about n8n right now is the agentic, right? It's the agent node, which is like making it super famous. Like it makes it very easy to build agents, but even more impressive is like its ability to as I just said, um, the logic that goes into sort of every workflow. Like you have more control over everything that happens at every step, which gives you like ultimate freedom, I guess, to determine how your workflows run at the end of the day. So yeah, over the years, like as you can imagine with anything open source, it's grown like a huge community. There's a bunch of people who support it, like I do, and there's developers, freelancers, marketers, like everything in between. And the nice thing about it is like even big companies are now using it because it's open source. They can just run it in their own systems, and it allows them to like have this closed systems where they can protect their data from external like people like Integromat and Zapier. So yeah, it's very cool. Glad you're kind of watching this. So why should you even like care? Basically, you might be saying something like that, like all right, all right, we get it, make n8n is pretty cool. Why the hell should we care? Well, here's the thing. So like if you're someone who's trying to make money online, or if you're trying to automate boring tasks, or if you're just trying to like sort of like simplify the things that you need to do to get things done, n8n is your secret weapon, right? You say hypothetically you're trying to build a personal brand. You're trying to build a personal brand, okay, or you're just trying to focus on what really matters in your business. How do you get the time? Like think about what goes into building a personal brand, right? You have to create content, you have to get yourself out there, you have to sort of build a narrative, build a story, build sort of like a brand scheme, I guess you could say. Like you have to show up consistently, not just on one platform, but on every single platform that you can. This attracts people's eyes, and like the more consistent you show up, the more people will know that you are who you say you are. And that's just what personal branding is. But like who actually has time to do all of that? People nowadays, what they do is they get like dedicated teams to take care of this. You've seen one of the biggest personal brands, Imangaji. He has a dedicated team. Alex Hormozy, dedicated team. Even the up and coming guys, Daniel Dalen, he has people who do his thumbnails and edit his videos. That's a dedicated team. So if you want to do things like this, but you don't have a dedicated team, the best ways to do it is to automate. The nice thing about it is that it's free to start, right? You can like self-host it, and this is something that I can show you how, but I won't really show you because like I can just link you to videos. You can self-host it. This is actually how I started too, right? I started on make.com. Make is very good to start. Like it makes it makes things very simple for you to understand. And then I transitioned to n8n just because of how powerful it was. Like I self-hosted it and I just got going, and then once I got going, I didn't stop. So n8n is effectively the one thing that is really impressive about it is this: it gives you complete control over everything. Like you don't have to rely on third-party platforms that can lock you out or throttle your growth. Like it it allows you to take things at your own pace, whether that be quick or slow, basically. So let me give you some real examples of like how businesses use n8n. So an e-commerce store could use n8n to like send abandoned cart emails. This is actually really big right now. It's so like imagine you run an e-commerce store, like I did like a year ago, and so one thing that people normally do is they could be like shopping on your store, and then they add something to the cart, and then they just, you know, life happens, or they decide, I don't really want to buy this anymore, so they leave. What you could do is you could just send them an email immediately, like immediately right after they leave. Just send them an email or text or something if you have the information, and say, hey, like, why did you do this? Like even offering them a discount, a 20% discount code, that actually gets more conversions. So you can't really get that going if you don't have automation skills. They can pull new customer orders from Shopify. Now this is also very useful, especially when it comes to like analytics and things like that. If you pull orders in from like Shopify, and then you analyze like how, like what's the best performing product, then you'll know, like say hypothetically, you'll know which sort of vendors to contact to get better products and so on and so forth. So imagining about like updating inventory, right? That's the same thing, right? If you have like real data that's backing every like decision, you'll know what inventory to update when, so that you don't actually go out of stock. And like imagine going out of stock as a business, like that's kind of bad for business, as you can imagine. So a content creator, right, you know, people like us, could use it to like auto post something on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, just from a single folder. This has been done so many times, and it can be done from like any platform. But like as I said, n8n just gives you that insane control that all the other platforms just don't give you. So you could like transcribe videos into text and then use that text to like create more content. You could send daily performance reports to like some kind of dashboard, or like on Airtable or Notion or something, tracking your social media like performance. Like you could do a lot, and all of it is possible with n8n and automation. So a freelancer, say, you could use it to like collect leads from a landing page. So imagine you have a landing page somewhere with like just a simple VSL, and then you know, an email form, and then just an opt-in button or something where people could like get to contact you to like schedule a call or something. What are you going to do with all those leads? You're gonna obviously want to qualify and nurture them. So you're gonna store them somewhere, you're gonna do your research on them, and then you're going to see who's actually worth having a call with, because your time is valuable, right? You don't want to just, you know, be calling everyone and anyone and everyone who like puts their emails into your thing, right? Like at the highest levels, something I've learned, at the highest levels, business is all about rejection. It's all about rejecting people. It's more about rejecting people that, you know, you don't want to work with than anything else. So yeah, you're collecting leads, you're qualifying them, and then you're sending them personalized emails automatically, right? Well, the personalized email flow, it goes something like, you do your research on like, you either like scrape data from some social media site like LinkedIn or something, and then you collect all that data on them, on their company, on anything else, and then you create sort of like a simple little, from an email template, right? You effectively fill in certain sections of that email template with like some personalization, whether it's for them or for you, and you effectively, you tell them who you are, like you just qualify yourself in that email, and then you also show that you did your research, and this gets you sort of, even if like when someone reads that, they understand that you did the research, so they will think of you in a much better light, effectively. And yeah, that's the power of n8n. You know, like all of this stuff, it would take teams, like as I said before, it would take literal teams of people to do, but you can just do it yourself, and it's like having you know, a team running 24/7, right? If you have an active workflow that's running 24/7, that's a team running 24/7, never sleeping, never complaining, and relatively cheaper as well, like 10x cheaper if you think about it. So, okay, let's kind of like recap. So, n8n is an open source, self hostable, flexible, and scalable automation platform, right? It puts the power in your hands, it gives you all the control, and it's powerful and scalable, right? It's perfect for beginners, right? This is something that I thought it wasn't true at first. But like think about it in a different way. I started on Make and then I went to n8n, which is like the platform that actually gives you more control. So um, back then I was a beginner. I was only like 2 months in, but I still managed to get like to land and then have my feet on the ground and like start moving. All right, if you want to start strong with sort of advanced systems where like advanced users are actually like playing, n8n is the place to be. So yeah, it basically just gives you the ability to build workflows that work for you and not against you. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to get started with n8n, and we'll do this like step by step actually. But for now, I need you to ask yourself something, right? So since you understand now that there's like a whole game going on in social media, I mean you've seen it before, right? Um, Everyone is leveraging sort of social media and content in a really sort of interesting in really interesting ways to get really big results for their business. Are you going to be a cog in someone's system, or are you going to build your own machine? um, let's keep leveling up, and welcome to the game. Goodbye.